Okay. All right. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you all for joining us for today's month of service presentation of foreclosures. We're here to talk about property tax collections and property tax foreclosures. My name is Nia Murray. I am the programs coordinator with Neighborhood Recovery Community Development Corporation, and we are one of the partners in the month of service collaboration. Also included is the City of Houston's Department of Neighborhoods, and joining us today is Ms. Myra Hippolyte. Also included is our presenting partner today with Lone Star Legal Aid, and here presenting today is Mr. Mario Pineda. In addition to that, we also have the Earl Carl Institute, Houston Volunteer Lawyers, Houston Bar Association, Harris Central Appraisal District, as well as the Harris County Tax Assessor Collector's Office. And collectively, we make up a month of service. And what a month of service is basically is the collaboration of these 8 different organizations that come together on a monthly basis and offer a variety of different workshops, information, resources available to the area communities that we all serve around the city of Houston, Harris County, and throughout the state even, in regards to various topics related to asset building, asset protection, maintaining of generational wealth, and community empowerment. We know that there are a lot of underserved communities around the Houston, Harris County, surrounding counties that don't have access to relevant information, resources, or don't know where to go when they have basic questions, don't know about different resources and services that are available that they can take advantage of, ways to protect their generational wealth, their assets, to help build assets, and so on and so forth. So we're here today to provide you all with some information today about property tax foreclosures, what that process is, what it looks like, what your available options are, what your rights are under the law, and that's going to all be explained to you. This is an opportunity for you all to ask whatever questions that it is that you may have. But do please keep in mind that we'd like to protect your privacy as much as we possibly can. So ask that you keep your questions to be as general as you possibly can without giving any personal detail information, as this session is being recorded as well as being broadcast live on our social media platform at Amos Houston TX. So please follow us there. In addition to that, know that information that is provided here today is for educational purposes only. It is not to be considered legal advice. So if you do find yourselves in need of any civil legal assistance, then we do encourage you to reach out to our Amos partners like Lone Star Legal Aid and our other legal service partners that can assist with your personal need. So, but again, please feel free to ask whatever questions it is that you like. This is your opportunity to have the experts kind of fill in some of the blanks for you on any kind of questions that you may have. If you are joining us on Facebook, please feel free to type your questions into the comment section, and we'll be sure to read over all questions aloud at the end of the presentation. So also note that information that Mr. Pineda presents here today, it's not just relevant to the city of Houston or to Harris County, that they are laws pertaining to the entire state of Texas. So do please keep that in mind. With that being said, we are going to move forward and go ahead and introduce our partners and our presenter, and we will move right on into the presentation. So Ms. Myra, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. Good afternoon. My name is Myra Hippolyte, and I work with the City of Houston Department of Neighborhoods, Office of Neighborhood Engagement, under the direction of Division Manager Paul Green. On behalf of Mayor Sylvester Turner and Director Takasha Francis, we want to welcome you to the Month of Service Partnership. This partnership is all about giving back free information to anyone that's in need. We want to let everyone know that you're not alone through this process. Whenever you're going through a stressor, know that you have a team of partners that is here to give you whatever information you need. A lot of times when we're going through a stressor, we find out all the information that is needed after we go through it. Well, we as partners of the Month of Service Partnership want to make sure that you get all the information you need beforehand. Guys, another great thing, the Department of Neighborhood is having coffee and conversation in person and virtually, thanks to the Month of Service Partnership. We will be out in your neighborhood this coming year. So on April 25th, we will be out in the Sunnyside neighborhood. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to register with NRCDC to attend virtually and as well as in person. We would like to know if you're interested in attending in person or virtually. Guys, thanks everyone and stay safe.
Okay, Mario, would you like to go ahead and introduce yourself and then you can move right on into your presentation? I guess kind of let folks know that Amir is also here with us.
Thank you, Ms. Murray. Thank you, Ms. Hippolyte. Of course, my name is Manny Pineda. I'm with the Lone Star Legal Aid. Thank you for being with us today on March 23rd, 2023. With the Foreclosure Prevention Project, we're here to give a presentation on foreclosure process and, of course, the on property taxes. So should I share my screen?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So
You're all good.
okay, thank you. So again, our title of our presentation today is what property taxes, what it is different, what is the same. Although we are going to go through some details and information concerning, what the various entities, government entities go through, collect property taxes, how do they get to that number? We'll also touch upon what are your options, what happens if somebody doesn't pay, what's the foreclosure process, and of course, what can you do or what you have to do in order to either mitigate, stop, or at least recover some sort of compensation after the event happens. So again, as our hosts have declared, this is just information only, not legal advice. So we would happily recommend you consult a financial or tax advisor and attorney regarding your personal situation. We'll take some questions after the presentation. Of course, I have here our managing attorney of our unit, Mr. Amir Befri, who will also take questions along beside me if anything's get too technical or I'm unable to answer. So here's our agenda. Before we go into our main focus on our presentation, we're gonna detail a little bit about Lone Star Legal Aid, who we are, what we do, and then we'll segue into the Texas Homeowner Assistance Fund program. Even though it's sort of unrelated, it does sort of help as to complement as to what our topic of the hand is. So we'll go a little bit into that, and then afterwards we're going to the main focus of our presentation, property taxes, just to lower then, of course, the tax foreclosure process regarding property tax. Okay, so we are Lone Star Legal Aid. We are a nonprofit law organization, law firm. So we, handle lots of matters concerning civil. We don't do criminal, and civil usually deals with things about monetary, things sort of that. So here's the mission of our organization: protect and advance civil legal rights of millions of Texans living in poverty. So besides Harris County, we serve about 76 others. We have offices all over, so we'll go a little bit of that. So we provide free advocacy, legal representation, communication to ensure equal access to justice for all. So we understand that one of the drawbacks of living in a low-income situation is sometimes the access to legal assistance can be a bit far off. So that's why we're here, and other organizations similar to us are have a similar goal, and to provide that, those who cannot afford to the legal representation, that in order to sort of mitigate or alleviate any situation they're in. And so we understand that they're already in a difficult situation, so it doesn't really help that you have legal matters attached to it. So we're here to alleviate that. So here's some facts about us. Again, as we mentioned, we're in 76 counties. across East Texas. And of course, a couple of counties in Southwest Arkansas, we have 14 offices. Besides our main office in Houston, we go anywhere from Beaumont all the way to Galveston, Wards and Nacogdoches, and of course, as far as Waco. In total, these counties are, we have about 2 million, based on our census data that are eligible on our guideline of poverty, on a federal poverty guideline. So they are eligible for services. So as you can see, there's a lot of people out there who, who cannot afford normally legal services. So, that's what we try to do, is to try to reach as many of them as possible. And 2021 alone, we serve at least 23,000 cases, and of course that's so that we completed, and of course that's benefited more than 60,000 people. So as you can see how beneficial it is of organizations like us to be around. A lot of, who knows what might happen to a lot of these applicants if not were for us to provide that help. So who is it that we usually assist with? So we help anyone from children, veterans, seniors, anybody in the LGBTQA plus community, people with disabilities, people who are homeless. Majority of clients are women's, most of them single mothers or just mothers in fact, or so many of our clients face isolation due to limited literacy, live in rural and remote locations, and have language barriers. More than 1.5 million people in our service regions speak a language other than English. In Texas, of course, we estimated that per one attorney, there's roughly 380 people in the general population that need us. But of course, for the legal aid attorneys, 17,000 in the service area with an income below 125%. So as you can see, a lot of people, need a lot of assistance. So of course, a lot of them have limited access to modern mass communication, smartphones, computers, television. So many of them, and then of course, many of them have a little to no public transportation. So as you can see, most of our clientele fall under these various specifics, and there's something always that prevents them from seeking the help that they require. So that's why we're here to sort of, take away a barrier that otherwise they might have. Of course, these are mission again, protect and advance the civil legal rights of millions of Texans living in poverty by providing free advocacy, legal representation, communication. Of course, we usually try to hammer this down, since that's basically our goal, is to keep us going. And of course, allow your liberty here. As I mentioned, we only work in civil cases. We don't handle criminal cases. So that's something we always have to repeat. So here's some of the areas of law that we usually deal with: consumer, employment, family law, healthcare, housing. That's what our unit usually focus on. We have other units too that focus on housing, juvenile issues, neighborhood problems, public education, financial assistance, and public benefits. So we have a wide array of areas here that we dealt with, and most, if not all, will follow. We'll usually apply to two or more of these categories. So there's always something that when a potential applicant will need, and we'll try to get them get to the proper unit that we can provide. Here's our other special projects that we have. We again that covers the previous slide we do. So again, as I mentioned, we're in the foreclosure prevention project, but we can do anything from evictions to disasters, crime victims, consumer law, community advocacy. So as you see here, we try to spread our focus on to many topics here at area. So we know that everybody needs help, and so we try to give them what they need. So how do I ask for help? So if you need legal help, we can apply 24 hours a day, 7 days a week by visiting Lone Star Legal Aid. If somebody does not have access to internet, you can give us a call at our number here provided. Our regular business hours are from 8 to 5, Monday to Friday. Again, the website is there in case we are not available. You can always call in, do a quick application, do a quick intake application, and then usually one of our representatives will call back for more information and to see whether or not an applicant is eligible for Lone Star Legal Aid. Here's our, I'm gonna go through our several branches real quick. As you can see here, we go Beaumont, Belton, Bryan, Clute, Conroe, Galveston, Houston, our main office, Longview. So besides, our offices are located, but the following counties that we serve that encompasses those offices are as follows too, as we can say. Even though we have 13 offices, we spread across 76 counties all across East Texas. Continuing from the previous slide, Nacogdoches, Paris, Texarkana, Tyler, Richmond, and Waco. As you can see, our reach is pretty spread out far across. Okay, as you can also follow us on social media. We're on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. So we're always there giving out information, news, updates. Of course, anybody wants to follow us or connect with us, we are usually available in most social media platforms. So we have a dedicated team who usually keeps focused on that, keep spreading the news, keep showing any updates. Sometimes we'll have some presentations as well, some live feeds. So we are always trying to reach out to everybody as far as wide and as much as we can. So we're just not out there, giving our website. We try to at least invite people in and, follow us in any of these platforms. Again, our website, www.lonestarlegal.org. Okay. All right, that's a little bit about us. So now I'm going to introduce to the Texas Homeowner Assistance Fund Program, or as Texas has, I will name it from here forward out. So this is part of the American Rescue Plan Act of 2021 in response to the COVID pandemic. We understand that a lot of people were affected by the pandemic, and so this is a sort of a safety net that the government has put forth to mitigate any homeowners to sort of give them some alleviation or relief and put them back on track to where they're from. We understand that everybody was affected some way or another, one way or the other. So we try to share this with everybody who part of our unit is to share this with everybody who might be eligible, to let them know there is some help to see if they're eligible, and we will subsequently assist them in applying. So we try to put the full word out there. So here's the basic the summary of what the Texas HAB does is to provide financial assistance to qualified Texas homeowners who have fallen behind on their mortgages and related expenses to COVID-19 pandemic. So these are grants. One thing we tell applicants who are interested or thinking to apply, this is not a loan. This is not money that you pay back. This is help from the government. They don't have to worry about around the road. However, we do emphasize that this is a one-time assistance. So once they are approved and paid, they have to keep in mind that they will have to pick up after the relief has been provided. So we usually have to inform them. So if they get the help they need, they're reminded that they'll have to keep paying afterwards, whether it be either continue their mortgage or property tax for coming year, utilities, which is something new that the program has just added, homeowners assistance fees, or any homestead insurance. So that's something to keep in mind. Of course, we also provide the website where the application starts, and of course, they also have a phone number with Monday to Friday with a timeline here. And so, just a bit is, is anyone behind on home loans or property taxes? So this is the introduction to the Texas HAF. So bit summary: application portal opened on March 22nd, 2022. So it's already been a year since it's been out there. And of course, not everybody is eligible. So I'm going to go over to what are the requirements and eligibility in order for a potential applicant must meet before they can ask for any assistance. First, I would like to show that the Texas HAF can provide up to $65,000 in mortgage assistance, and which 65,000 of that can be with up to $25,000 in property charge assistance, that be including property taxes, homeowner assistance, or insurance, and of course, up to 10,000 in utility. So one thing to keep in mind and not to cause any confusion, the most a household can get is 65,000, which the majority can be taken by mortgage uh, to us for mortgage assistance. However, part of that, up to 25,000, can be covered by the property charge assistance, and of course 10,000 for utilities. So all that has to add up to 65,000. So this isn't for say to be clear, 65,000 plus 25 plus 10. So all of it has to add up to 65. So I can go into detail a little bit further as we go down. I would like to show that in a year alone, this is up to date as of March 23rd, 2023. The program has given nearly 369, a little over 369 million in relief funds, with about 1 million a little over 1,600,000 already approved and up to payment, and have helped a little over 33,000 households, and of course almost 400,000 are already waiting for this to be met. And the average amount that each household was given is 11,000. Of course, the disparity there is a disparity present. Some may get more, some can get less, but that's the average each household will get according to the numbers. There is still some funding left, nearly 700 million. Well, actually, the amount approved was for nearly 700 million. According to that exact number is 693 million of that, and of course that's money that's been approved. So now, subtracting the difference of what the money's been paid out plus the money that's been already approved and on the way, that nearly accounts for almost 470 million in funds that have been paid up. So that's a little over 60% of the program funding that's been approved. So there's still some money to go around. There's still some time left. So we always encourage any potential applicants to apply. So as while there's for now, there is somewhere around plenty of funds to go around. As you can see by the graphs, most of it can go to the mortgage, followed by property taxes, followed by the other fees, such as utilities, HOAs, and insurance premiums. So the next couple of slides, I'm going to some of the counties that have been approved, as to paint the picture as to how much fund assistance has been paid out to each of these counties. Brazoria, 7 million. Chambers, 550,000, a little over 550,000. Galveston County, a little over 5 million. Hardin County, a little over 380,000. Jefferson County, a little over 3 million. Liberty County, a little over 1 million. Matagorda County, almost 300,000. Orange County, a little over 1 million. Warren County, close to 300,000. Fort Bend, 13 million, a little over 13 million, just to give you a grasp. And of course, Montgomery County, a little over 7 million. So, you can see how much of an impact Texas has had, and various counties that we provide, that Lone Star provides assistance. Many of them we have assisted in applying to them. Most of them are from other organizations that have assisted them. There's others as well, or sometimes the applicant will apply on their own and manage to get the assistance as well. So here's the criteria to be eligible for the Texas HAF. First of all, are they behind of any of on the following: mortgage loans, property taxes, property insurance, homeowner account association fees? So this is practically money that they owe right now. This isn't money that they potentially may owe from down the future, or they don't know if they're able to meet any payments as of right now. I mean, as far along the future. So the first thing is, do they owe money? Yes. Is the household income at or below 100% area median income, or 100% of the median income for the United States, whichever is greater? So basically, if they meet this household income, which I will go further as to what the numbers are. So if they meet this, and they're good to go. Next one, own and occupy a home in Texas or primary residence. This is very important, since you have to be the homeowner, have clear title, have some sort of ownership of the residence where you're seeking assistance from, and have to be occupied presently in the home. Many of them are looking for assistance for properties they have purchased but have not yet built a homestead, or they do not reside in there for various reasons, barring eviction. So it is important that they own or have clear title to the home and are currently residing on. Now, if they meet all these three criteria, the next criteria is, have they qualified for financial hardship after January 21st, 2020, such as loss of income or increased expenses due to the pandemic? So this might be a tricky question for many applicants, since sometimes most of them will answer, well, they either lost a job, got furloughed, and got laid off, never received or didn't receive unemployment. They got COVID. They had to take care of somebody who caught it, feed their expenses. Children were had to be homeschooled or virtual schooling. So sometimes we have to try to broaden the that option, and sometimes we will ask them, did you at least buy a mask? Did you had to buy sanitation, things like that, in order to prevent COVID? That could, in theory, could qualify as a hardship due to COVID pandemic. It's this situation affected everybody in some way or other. Some more severe than others, and others, well, not as much. But we try to keep in mind that everybody's been affected in some way or the other. It doesn't really matter how severe it was. And here's the homeowner system. This is the area median income that we just touched upon. As you can see here, the counties. Here's some of the counties that have qualified under this. Of course, there's more, but here's the ones that we usually assist with. And as you can see, for a household of 1, 2, usually average is usually 4, up to 4 is 90,000. So any applicants who make 90,000 or below can meet the eligibility to apply to the Texas half. So that includes income from everybody in the household, whether it be sole breadwinner, dual income, or anybody else who lives with them, barring the children or any other friends or relatives that are also part of the household who also bring income that has to be counted. So as you can see, for most of the counties here, up to a household of 4, 90,000 is it's the same overall. But once we hit 5, that number changes. So we have to keep in mind where they reside, the county they reside, how much in the household, how many bring in, how many are employed, how much they bring in, and what's the total income they can bring in per year, and if they meet that requirement, and then they're eligible for the Texas half. So going forward, here are the forms of financial relief that Texas half provides. Of course, the biggest one is a mortgage program. If they're behind, or anything that can get them up to date with their mortgage in order to cure any defaults and get them resent. So again, as I mentioned, up to 65,000 per household. Most of it can be taken by mortgage, and as you can see by the graphs and the amount of money that the funds have been given out, most of the applicants who apply this are behind on their mortgage. And in order to prevent any default or foreclosures, the Texas HAP programs can give up to 65,000 to cure the defaults, and of course and also provide up to 3 months of future payments in order to provide any relief while they figure out the next step into paying forward after the program finishes paying out. The next program is property charge. That includes property taxes, property insurance, mortgage property tax statements, insurance, and homeowner condo fees up to 25,000. Again, these are the biggest things, even though not as much compared to mortgage. Up to 25,000 can be given out. So again, if tax entities or the HOVs, if they do not receive any payment, they will also try to start in foreclosure proceedings. So this in turn will alleviate that in order to stop it, keep them up to current, and of course pay off anything that they are due. And again, as I mentioned, after the program is paid off, they'll have to figure out what's the next step in order to keep paying and prevent future foreclosure or any other default. And lastly, the utilities. This is something recent that's been added to the program. They can give up to 10,000 of the 65,000 maximum that's allowed. Any utilities include electric, gas, propane, water, and wastewater. So again, similar to the mortgage, they give up to 3 months of future payments as well, while they try to figure out what's the next step for them in order to keep paying any utilities. So here's how the process usually works. We've already gone over step one, pre-eligibility. If the applicant answers yes to those 4 questions, and they can start on their application. They'll ask questions. They'll ask for documents, proof of income, proof of identification, proof of ownership or title to the home, proof of whatever is it their payment requested, such as mortgage statements, statements from the tax entities, or any statements on the notifications of a payment or bills from the HOA, so things like that. And after they hit submit, the review process begins. Usually around 30 days, they're expected to be assigned a caseworker, where step 4, the eligibility review begins. They'll look over the application, determine the eligibility, to look at any documents that have been provided, and of course they will contact the applicant if there's anything missing, anything clarifications before they proceed forward, which is step 5, which they contact the entities involved. Again, these are the mortgage companies, the tax entities, the HOA associations, to clarify and confirm the payment is requested, and to connect with them before they're either approved or denied. And so that's step 6, final eligibility review. They do a final review, and then if they meet all the requirements, then they're approved. Step 7, payment. And usually we tell our applicants this is paid towards the entities. They don't get a check to them. They don't to pay off whoever they owe money to. Usually the tax entities will get either a direct deposit or a check as well. So we usually tend to recommend that they contact them once payment's out to see whether or not they can confirm payment has been received or on the way, in order for them to know that whatever is it that they have to pay is paid off, and they can they can alleviate whatever default they have and start the process again. Okay, so if there's any questions regarding the Texas App program, will be taken after the main point of our presentation. So as I said again, me and Mr. Miro will be answering the questions to the best of our ability. So we're going to the main point of our presentation, which is property taxes. We're going to go over some quick information regarding the process, and of course, leading up to foreclosure. So here are the basics. Oh, excuse me. So here are the basics. Property taxes are local taxes. Local officials value your property, set your tax rates, and collect your taxes. In Texas, however, the state governs how the process works, and the county is the one who sets the rate and collects it. So there is this is of course not just Harris County, but all counties involved have an appraisal district which covers this. So the property tax provides more. So the end result is that property tax provides more tax dollars for local government services. So that includes public schools, streets, county roads, police, fire protection, many other services. So here's the property taxpayers Bill of Rights of Texas. As I mentioned before, Texas has no state property tax. However, it's the local governments that set the tax rates and collect the taxes. And of course, as I mentioned, let's provide the services involved. And there's various entities in the county level that collect taxes, the school districts, the county, other entities as well. So they have to set a tax rate, and then that'll determine how much everybody pays. But everybody here in the Bill of Rights has certain rights that they're entitled to, whether or not make sure that the rate that they're getting is properly administered. And of course, if there are not agree with it, then they have the right to seek remedies or protest the value in order to keep that low. So here are the rights as a Texas property taxpayer: equal and uniform taxation, ensure your property is appraised uniformly and similar to other properties in your county, have your property appraised according to the general accepted appraisal methods and techniques and other requirements of the law, receive exemptions of the tax relief for which you qualify and apply timely, notice of property value increases, inspect for non-confidential information used to appraise your property, protest your property value and other appraisal matters to the appraisal review board, appeal the appraisal review board, right to fair treatment by the appraisal district, right to voice your opinions, right to petition local government, and the right to receive a copy of your pamphlet entitled taxpayer revenues. So these are all the rights we as a Texas property taxpayer are entitled to. So make sure you're aware of these, or we try to make sure that everybody's aware of this as to what their rights are, and what can they do, and what they're entitled. So how does the system work? We earlier this week we had a presentation by one of our by the appraisal district as to how go in detail as to how does this process works and what they can do about it. So if I believe there is a recording out there from yesterday that they can look back and see more information, but I will give a sort of a basic gist of it as to what which it is, quick recap, and then we'll go along. So there are three main authorities of the property tax system: the appraisal district, appraisal review board, and local tax units. So here's the path of the property tax dollar. You pay your property tax to the tax collector. The tax collector distributes the funds. Local government spends the funds on anything that's useful: schools, roads, hospitals. Again, as I mentioned, this is where it goes. This is the reason why we owning a home comes with a few kibitz, and this is where our money goes. So as you can understand how important it is that we make pay our dues and pay on timely. Everybody use every so one other use one of these programs or use these facilities and or services. So as you can see, it's very important to you pay your property taxes. So here are the four stages. They value the tax property, protest the values, adopt tax rates, and collect taxes. So usually the typical timeline is as they've gone before. January 1st is the date of appraisal. Of course, May 5th is the deadline to protest. Finally, October, November, that's where the tax bills are sent out, and taxes are due on the last day of January 31st, which after February 1st is the delinquency date. Anything that's not been paid accrues interest up until the following year. Again, as I went forward, January 1st marks the beginning of the property appraisal. So basically, what a property is used for January 1st, market conditions at the time, and who owns the property that day determine whether the property is taxed, its values, qualifications for exemptions, who's responsible for paying the tax. So between January 1st and April 30th, the appraisal district processed application of tax exemption, agriculture, and timber appraisals. So, and of course, as I mentioned, on May 15, the appraisal reviewer will begin hearing protests from property owners who believe their value is incorrect or feel they were improperly denied exemptions or any of that sort. So the ARB, the appraisal district board, is an independent panel of citizens responsible for handling protests. So when the ARB finishes work, the chief appraiser gives his tax unit a list of taxable property known as the appraiser roll. Again, September, October, elected officials, each tax unit adopt tax rates for each operations debt payments. Typically, each property is taxed by several taxing units. And an example, every property in Harris County is taxed by both the county and school district. Taxes may also be payable to a city or special district, including entities such as municipal utility districts, such as MUDs, rural fire district protection districts, junior college districts, and others. So the collection starts around October, November, as the bills goes out. And again, taxpayers have until the 31st of January to pay tax of the following year to pay their taxes. February 1st, penalty and interest charges being accumulated on most unpaid tax bills. Tax units may start legal action to collect unpaid property taxes once they become delinquent. So we'll go further into this, which usually, and some cases will lead to a foreclosure. So we'll go into that a little later. So here's what we go for. Here's basically the flow chart. As you can see here, it starts at the beginning of the year and goes all the way till the end. And of course, if another step has to be taken, then there's another path that we seek. Okay, that's just the deck. So we're going into how can I lower my property taxes. So say that you don't agree with the appraisal value that that your property has, according to the appraisal district, you have the right to protest, and there is a process in order to do so. Again, as I mentioned, yesterday's presentation went more forward into this. I will go to the basics of it, but if you're going to get more information, please check out that recording. They give more information. They give a lot of good links and also sites in order to begin the process and where to look for. So, protesting the value of your home. So, if the appraisal district appraises your property at a higher amount in the previous year, then the appraisal district is required to send a notice of appraised value by May 1st or by April 1st if your property is a residence homestead, or as soon as practical. So they have to let you know that they're going to raise it, or that your value has been raised, and in turn, this will cost the property tax to be raised. So they'll have to give you a notice on that by May or April. Actually, typically by May or April if your property is a residence homestead. The notice of appraised value includes information how to file a protest, as well as explanation of the abilities of informal conference with the appraised district prior to your informal ARB hearing. So basically, they have to give you, if you do not agree with this, they have to give information on how to protest, how to alleviate this. If you're dissatisfied with appraised value, if errors exist in appraisal records regarding your property, you should file a notice of protest. Most cases have either May 15 or 30 days from the date of the appraised district notice is delivered, whichever date is later. So even though May 15 is the set deadline to start the protest process, it usually is 30 days after the notice is given. So say the notice was given on May 1st, so you have until May 30th or June 1st to do that. So 30 days, whichever comes later. So if one of it exists and you are aware that you have time. Property owners may appoint someone to represent them in a handling hearing concerning the property. They will need to sign either an appointment of tax agent form or an authorization of a notice of protest form. So sometimes this process can be a bit complicated. So there are private entities or organizations that will do this for you, although you will have to pay them, but they will have to sign a notice of appointment of tax agent or authorization notice protest to make sure that they're the ones representing you and they can take care of any proceedings moving forward. After filing your protest, you'll receive a written notice of the date, time, and place and subject matter of the formal hearing with the ARB. You may request an informal conference with an appraisal district to try to resolve your protest before the ARB hearing. If you're not able to resolve your protest informally, continue your protest with the ARB. At the formal hearing, the ARB listens to both the taxpayer and the chief appraiser. You may discuss your objections about your property value exemptions and special appraisal in a hearing with the ARB. The ARB's decision are binding only for the tax year in question. So make sure that that the tax year in question is the one that you're protesting for, and you can request an informal conference in case the the date of the hearing is a bit far off, or you want to resolve this, in a timely manner. So you can request that as well. So here's what you can expect at an ARB hearing. You cannot go to the hearing and just say the appraisal district is wrong, but you gather all information to your property that may be relevant in considering the true value of your home, such as photographs of your property, receipts of estimates, repairs, sale price documents such as listings, closing statements, and other information. So yes, you can't just go out there and say, I don't agree with this. You have to bring in some sort of proof or any evidence that complements your argument. Part of your hearing involves evidence, another part involves arguing your case. Arguing means presenting your case by a clear and conscious presentation of evidence. You may feel that your taxes are too high, but neither the ARB nor the appraisal district set your taxes. While the ARB can consider the effect of general economic and environmental factors may have on your property value, you cannot take into account your personal economic situation. Again, if you aren't able to pay your taxes, that's not something that you take into consideration. You have to show as to why you believe the value of your homestead is higher than you normally believe in, and to do that, you have to bring in something that supports your argument. Other than that, I don't think I can pay it next year. It's too. I don't think I can pay because there's reparations to be done, or the value of my home uh, isn't what the market dictates. So, or there's or the condition of my home doesn't support the value that the appraisal district has set forth. The amount of time allotted for the RB tier is typically 15 minutes for both the appraisal district representative and the homeowner to present their case to the 3 RB members. It is suggested to allow 2 hours between signing in and the actual start of the meeting hearing. So basically, be prepared to have your argument as concise and precise as possible. Of course, but we also be prepared to be there at least 2 hours. There are other homeowners in there who are also there for the same reasoning. So you'll have to, once the day of the hearing is set and you're out there, you'll have to be prepared to be there for quite a while. But also, once your turn is up, be prepared that it'll be rather go quickly. So you have to use that time wisely to present your arguments, state the fact. I mean, not show your evidence, and of course, close your argument, and of course, give enough time for the board to present their own conclusion. What if I miss a protest line? So the usual deadline for filing a protest is May 15 or the 30 days after the notice of values was delivered, as we have mentioned. However, if you miss the protest, you can protest after the deadline for filing a protest. If you can show good cause for missing the deadline, you can submit a paper protest together with a statement of good cause sent to the appraisal board. The ARB will determine whether the protest will be accepted as a late protest. So even in the event that you miss the deadline, you have to show good cause, and the board will generally decide whether or not that cause meets the requirements, and then of course we'll set the hearing at a later date. Okay, we're going to homestead exemptions. So to qualify for a homestead exemption, the homeowner must be an individual and use a home as his or her principal residence as of January 1st of the tax year. So a lot of these homestead exemptions will allow a tax deferral, so such as an age 65 or older or disabled exemption is effective of January 1st of the tax year. The applicant qualifies for the homestead and applies to the entire tax year. A residence homestead can be a separate structure, condominium, or manufactured home located on own leased land, as long as the individual living in the home owns it. Residence homestead can include up to 20 acres of if the land is owned by the homeowner and then used for a purpose related for residential use of the homestead. So here's a residential homestead exempt application. For those who apply to it, it may be a bit confusing, but usually it's straightforward. Put it at the top, you put the appraisal district, you put your account number if known, you file an application, the year it's filing. So usually if you're on time, it's yes, if not, no. Do you live in the property seeking homestead? Yes. And of course, any of the homestead exemptions that generally apply: general homestead exemption, disabled, person 65 or older, 100% disabled veteran, surviving spouse, donated residence, and usually it's just one check of this plus information and the address and the summary of the property. If I live in a home that has multiple owners, can I qualify as a residence homestead exemption? So again, the presentation yesterday also dealt with this. If you're not a sole owner of the property to which the residence homestead applies, one of these ownership issues may apply. So, for example, if a married couple qualifies for property of residence homestead exemption, the spouses are treated as community property owners with 100% ownership of each spouse. So, for example, if a married couple, one of them can qualify for the over 65 exemption, and they are qualified for the 100% ownership since this is a community property state, so that's just straight as community property, and both of them are qualified under. If you inherited property and be eligible as the heir property owner, be considered for the sole owner residence homestead exemption. Or if you have partial ownership but are unmarried and not inherit property, exemption amount is based on the interest you own. So sometimes an example was given. Somebody who may be qualified for an exemption, but the other one does not. They may be only qualified for 50% exemption if one of them is applied, although the other half does not. So Sometimes you'll get partial, sometimes you get 100%. So that all depends on the facts at hand. So what is the deadline for filing a residence homestead exemption? The application has to be completed and committed no matter the April 30th of the tax year which you're applying. Late residential exceptions, including A65 holder or disabled application, will be filed up to 2 years after the delinquency, which is usually February 1st. Usually that will retroactively backtrack the delinquency date up to 2 years, which someone has applied. Can somebody who's who applies to is eligible for two exemptions can get them. So if an owner qualifies for the $1,000 exemption of A65 holder and it's a 10,000 exemption for disabled, they cannot receive both. They can only use one or the other. Individual 65 holder, disabled residence homestead qualify for 10,000 residence homestead exemptions in addition to 4,000 exemption for the homeowners. So basically saying, I can apply for both. You cannot get both. You can get only one. And unfortunately, we usually tell them, which one will, be more beneficial and that recommended to apply for that exemption. Are there any potential payment options for those who are either 65 or older disabled? Yes, certain homeowners are allowed to pay homestead tax in 4 equal installments without incurring penalty and interest. These persons include individuals who are disabled or age 65 or older, disabled veterans or unmarried surviving spouses qualify for an exemption, or partially disabled veterans or with homes donated with charitable organizations and their unmarried surviving spouses. So these taxpayers may make the first installment payments and request installment agreements before the delinquency date. Installment payments may apply to all taxing units on the bill. If the delinquency date is February 1st, the first installment must be paid before the delinquency date and accompanied by a notice to the taxing unit that the person intends to pay remaining taxes in 3 equal installments. The second installment is due April 1st, the third installment is due for June 1st, and the fourth and final installment is August 1st. What if I cannot afford to pay any of my portion of my taxes? So there is a special exemption for those who are disabled or age 65 or older. The tax code section 33.6 allows them to get a tax deferral. So a tax deferral does not mean your property tax will disappear. Your property tax will continue to accrue each year with interest. Once you passed away or move away from the home, then the amount of property taxes that are accrued will become due. Whomever inherits the home will be responsible for the tax bill. So this basically gives an alleviation to anybody who can qualify. So they can put a pause on collecting the taxes from you. However, they still owe taxes, and in their area's interest, that's going to be accrued. Although there is a cap that they will hit once that raises up, and once the property is transferred to a new owner, then that owner will be responsible to pay any taxes that have accrued that haven't been unpaid since the owner, applied for the tax deferral. Okay, now we're moving on to foreclosures and post-foreclosure evictions. So in the event that somebody who has not paid the property taxes and at that point becomes delinquent will undoubtedly face foreclosure. So we're going to give information how the process goes and what are the options they may have if the inevitable happens. So foreclosures in Texas generally means that Texas is a non-judicial foreclosure state. They don't have to file a lawsuit. They don't have to go through the courts. However, there is a process they'll have to follow. Generally, foreclosures are the first Tuesday of every month. In many cases, mortgage loans can be foreclosed without a lawsuit, although we have seen sometimes mortgage companies file suits against the borrower in order to get it foreclosed. So before foreclosing happens, the servicer has to first send you a notice of default, giving you 20 to 30 days to cure the default, meaning they have to give you time to pay off whatever it is that you owe. If you do not cure that within that period, then the servicer must send you a notice of foreclosure sale at least 1 day before the scheduled sale. Unfortunately, I have to prove that you received the letter. So usually, as we mentioned, the foreclosure sales are usually the first Tuesday of every month. And if the deadline to cure the default has passed, they have to give you 21 days, at least 21 days before the date of the foreclosure to give you notice of a foreclosure. So they can, give it to you. They have to give it to you via mail but they don't have to prove that they show it. They can have, I mean, they don't have to prove that you received it. However, they have to prove that they, send it out. Usually, it is recommended that many homeowners keep an eye out for any letters, or at least contact if notice of foreclosure sale has been sent out to them. So in order to keep up, usually sometimes foreclosure sales can come up out of nowhere, and the homeowner is unaware that such thing has happened. Although by that point, they cannot have a reason to stop it if the notice of foreclosure has have a proof that a letter has been sent out by then, before the date of the foreclosure sale. So property tax foreclosures. Any part of the local government you pay taxes to can collect taxes, file a lawsuit to foreclose and sell your home to get paid. In many cases, mortgage loans can be foreclosed without a lawsuit. So they can, well, to reiterate, to update, they can file suit, but they don't necessarily have to. But sometimes, as we said, it is a non-judicial foreclosure state in Texas, so necessarily they have to either send you a letter to give you time to cure, and in the event that doesn't happen, then they'll send you a foreclosure sale notice. The entities that can foreclose on you are school districts, cities, counties, municipal utilities, such as your MUD, and other things you paid out to. Usually these entities can be found in your property tax statement that you get billed and you get at the towards the end of the year. Sometimes these entities are outside of scope, and they don't normally pay it in one bill, and they can bill it separately. So it is recommended to keep in mind and who's the one that's found the foreclosure against you, and as to where's it from. Generally, foreclosure is used as a last resort for local government to collect. So there really isn't a deadline or a reason as to when, how much time a person can be delinquent for failure to pay property taxes. But if the government feels that too much time has passed without somebody paying the property taxes, then they will start the foreclosure process in order to collect any money that they feel they're owed to. So keep in mind that if it doesn't happen straight away, it will happen at some point. So it is best to try to pay off and cure that default as quickly as you can before the process can begin. So in the event the lawsuit is filed, the local government unit will have you served with a citation informing you about the lawsuit. You need to file a written answer to the lawsuit. It is generally due by the Monday that comes 20 days after the day you're served. So as such as any lawsuit, you have to sort of answer, and that's 20 day due by the Monday that comes 20 days after you're served. If you fail to answer, the local government unit can ask the court hearing and it can ask the court hearing the lawsuit to allow open when default. So if they don't hear an answer or they don't hear a response within that deadline, then the unit, the entity can ask the government to get a judgment, final decision, without even going into trial. So it is best recommended that once you receive the citation, to try to answer that as quickly as possible, or at least find some representation to do it for you if you aren't aware what the process can be. But failure to do so can get a default judgment and have you foreclose on you unexpectedly. So in the event you do answer the lawsuit, the plaintiff, in this case, the government entity making you the defendant, has to either request a trial date or the court will set one itself. So after the answer has been given, then of course the hearing is set. So of course, as we said, they either can ask for a date to be set, or the court will set it itself, and then we'll send out a notice of hearing to the defendant in case the homeowner yourself notify them of the hearing imminent that's coming up. At the trial, the plaintiff has to prove that you own the property, tax or delinquent, and has filed the suit within the 20-hour statute of limitations to collect. So this is the burden of proof is on them. So they have to show that you are, all of this applies, and they can't try to collect any delinquent taxes from you. If the government entity wins, then the judgment allowing to proceed we'll get a judgment allowing to proceed with the foreclosure. So at trial, they will try to persuade their argument, and in the case the judge favors in their part, then the foreclosure will proceed as intended. The entity will then ask the local sheriff or constable to schedule a foreclosure sale, again, first Tuesdays every month. And then they will mail you the certified letter informing you of the sale date. The sheriff or constable has to mail the letter at least 2 days in advance of the sale date. So in contrast to non-judicial foreclosure sales, with judicial, you get about an extra day of notice before the foreclosure sale is due. So you have to be aware once that's out, there's nothing to be to sort of stop it or put a pause to it or try to mitigate it. Foreclosure sales are generally public auctions, so anyone can come to bid your home, even you. So bidding starts at the amount of the past due taxes plus the attorney's fees plus court costs. This is all included in the judgment. So basically, when the plaintiff, in this case entity, gets the judgment from the judge, they're given an amount to collect, which of course will try to do so within the foreclosure sale. So that's the amount that usually gets started, and of course the bidding process begins in order to get as much. So whoever's the highest bidder is in the owner of the home. So once the bid is in, of course, if the amount that they're seeking is covered plus any extra fees. The owner of the home can choose to evict you. So in this case, this falls under the eviction process. That's more on that later. That's another subject. You do have the right to get your title to your home back. This is called right to redeem to your home. You have 2 years to redeem your home after the foreclosure sale. In the first year, you have to pay the foreclosure sale price plus 25%. In the second year, you have to pay the foreclosure price plus 50%. After 2 years, you no longer have right to redeem and force a new owner to give you your home back. So in the event that the house has been sold off and the owner has chosen to evict you, you can get your house back, although that is a tall tale. But if you do meet these qualifications and fulfill them, then you can get the owner to give you your house back after 2 years. Most foreclosure sales bring higher prices than just the amount of the judgment. Anything about the judgment amounts considered exceed proceeds, as if from owner of the property, in this case, the one who is being foreclosed on, is entitled to collect the exceeds proceeds. This is for percents the equity you had in your home. You can use this money as a basis to try to redeem and get back the title of your home. So in case that the bidding ends up with an excess proceeds, an excess amount, after the covering of the pace of the judgment, these proceeds can go back to you, and you can use it as money to try to get your title back to your home. Keep in mind that you will have to pay the amount of foreclosure plus an excess amount in order to get it back. So, it might be a tall tale, but it is still possible. And then here's the other post foreclosure evictions. When the property is set for foreclosure, it can be sold to third party or bought back by a foreclosing party called struck it off for taxes. The sale might be stopped if the person is being foreclosed upon negotiations with the seller, qualifies for and applies for bankruptcy, or some other reason. If your home is scheduled for foreclosure, you should reach out to an attorney right away. If it's a property tax foreclosure, an HOA foreclosure, the former owner has the right to redeem the property. You should reach out to an attorney right away. So if by any chance the foreclosure sale is imminent, it is suggested that you reach out to attorneys to see what the other options are in order to find a way to prevent, pause, or even try to find a way to settle, find a way for settlement. If the property sells, the new buyer cannot just tell the former property owner to leave. They have to file an eviction lawsuit. The new buyer must give former buyer a notice to vacate. The new buyer will file an eviction lawsuit. They'll first try to have the constable serve the lawsuit, but the constable is allowed to get the judge's permission to just drop it off and mail the paperwork under certain circumstances. A trial will be held before justice of peace. The parties have the right to appeal to the county court of law. If the former owner cannot afford to appeal bond, they can file a statement of inability to afford court cost. So, falling into eviction law work, same thing as any other eviction. The property owner can't just ask the former owner to leave. The new owner has to file for eviction. That includes a 3-day notice to vacate in most cases in the state of Texas, followed by a filing of suit. Then they have to make sure that the suit is given. The suit will be delivered to the to the person in the home, then a hearing will be set at the judge at the piece of court where the plaintiff, in this case, the new owner, will try to argue that they are the new owner, that they follow all the eviction proceedings as dictated by the Texas Property Code. This includes delivering the notice of vacate per the property code, giving them time to cure any defaults, and of course, if the judges will, if the plaintiff is successful in persuading the judge to give them a possession of the property, the judge will usually give them 5 days for the for the former owner, in this case, the resident, to either vacate the premises or file an appeal. In the case, if they do not vacate and do not file an appeal, then the new owner can get a writ of possession. The judge will sign it, the sheriff will drop it off, and by then they have the right to vacate them and put their stuff out. But if the resident is able to appeal, then they have 5 days to appeal and then 5 days to pay a court bond. But if they cannot, then in lieu of the court bond and appeal bond, they'll have to pay a 1 month's rent to do that. And of course, the case will be taken to county court of law, where a new judge will hear the case and the proceedings will start all over again. And again, if the new owner is successful in getting a judgment, then by then the former owner or resident can appeal again, but this time they cannot file a statement of inability. They must appeal. They must file a repeal bond, which is 10 times the former judgment. And of course, they have 10 days to do so. If not, then they'll have to vacate. And again, if they do not, the writ of possession can be filed. So again, it's a long process, but this is generally what it usually goes to. Okay, and that wraps up their presentation. If there's any questions, I'll try to answer the best way ability. And I have Mr. Amir Befri as well with me to answer any questions that it might be a bit too complicated for me.
Okay. There were a couple of questions that were in the chat that Amir was asking. He did put a copy of the link for the property tax foreclosure, the property tax presentation that we had yesterday. However, I will be also emailing the link to everyone along with a copy of this recording so that they can go back and watch if they have more detailed questions about the property tax valuation and protest process. Let's see. One of the questions was, and I'm going to ask the questions, even though I know Amir had already asked, because I know some people are joining us by phone as well as on Facebook, and they don't see the chat. If the home is in an estate, can the homestead exemption be used if one of the estate members lives in the property? If one of the heirs, I'm assuming, lives in the property. And the answer to that question is yes. The heirs would have to file a heirship exemption in order to claim that it is not just automatic. And there's some paperwork that needs to be submitted to the county that shows that you are the next heir to inherit the property, even though the property still is not in your name. And Amir's question is, yes, the person would be considered the heir property owner. They need to apply for the homestead exemption in order to get it. An heir property owner needs to provide proof of being related to the deceased owner. This is done via the death certificate. The same person has to provide that he or she lives in the home. This is done via an unexpired ID with the address that matches the property and a utility bill or something for the property. Okay. Okay, that was about the insurance. Let's see, and Amir has a correction. He says mortgages don't have to file a lawsuit to foreclose, but local government must file a lawsuit in order to foreclose. Okay, another question here. Can the property be bought if before the day of the foreclosure negotiating with the owner and take the same mortgage loan under the new business or under the new buyer or owner. Ms. Lazaro, can you elaborate a little bit on that question? Let's see.
Yes,
Okay. Oh, I see Amir's answer. Okay,
yes,
but go ahead.
yes. Okay, let me go back to my question. Okay, yes. For example, I have heard that someone is going to go foreclosure the property if someone else is interested to buy it. So to stop the foreclosure, a third person and can take the mortgage, with the previous owner. So buy it, pay whatever it's owed, and paid any compensation or paid. I assume that they already paid. I don't know. Have you heard about this, that it can happen?
Hi, so this is Amir Bafrui, and I don't know if y'all can see me, but I
Yes.
work with Mario at Lone Star Legal Aid. Yes, these situations can happen. Most of the time, they're a scam to take advantage of someone who's in a very desperate situation. I think anyone would describe, facing the loss of your home through foreclosure as desperate. That's why I put in the chat, and I'm happy to repeat this for those of y'all who can't read the chat. If you're ever in this situation, or a friend, family member, client, what have you, that's in this situation, and they're offered a way out, you want to read the fine print. I'm an attorney. My colleagues who practice in this space, as well as the paralegals that support us like Mario, we call these foreclosure rescue scams. And the emphasis is on a scam because most people don't read the fine print. What generally happens is somebody swoops in at the last minute at the 11th hour and says, I'll make the foreclosure go away. Just sign on the dotted line, and no one reads it. Well, the company then pays off the mortgage, and the dotted line was you signing a deed to put the property in this new company's name. So you don't own your house anymore, and you're subject to possibly being evicted, or the company then says, all right, I'll sell it back to you for however many hundreds of thousands of dollars. And it's very, very difficult to get out of those deals without a lawsuit. And lawsuits are stress, it's time, and it's just a terrible situation for any homeowner or former homeowner to be in. So yes, these situations do exist, but most of the time, it's just a scam.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. The next question, usually what percentage above the property tax owed is the property sold? Usually what percentage above the property tax owed is sold? Is there a certain, do they ever sell the property for more than what the actual taxes are owed on?
Yeah, that actually happens a majority of the time. So say you
Okay.
have a $300,000 house, and even if it's got a mortgage on it for 200, under Texas law, if you owe taxes on it, the state of Texas, or these various local government units, they actually have what's called a super priority lien, which means if they foreclose, it wipes out the mortgage. So even if the tax bill is as low as like $5,000, right? I said a $300,000 house with a $200,000 mortgage, but the bidding starts at $5,000 because that's what the taxes is. You can see how that would set off a feeding frenzy at a public auction. And that's what these are. They're public auctions because you have that legal protection of the loan getting wiped out, the mortgage getting wiped out. And so, I had a client who owed, $14,000 in taxes, but they had a $300,000 house. Well, the bidding got up to $250,000 because when you're looking at it as a real estate investor, and I'm not saying these people are right or wrong, I'm just giving y'all math. I just got a $300,000 house for 250 grand. You made a $50,000 profit really easily in one day. And so any dollar amount, as Mario was mentioning, anything that goes above the taxes due, the government doesn't get to keep. That money goes back to the foreclosing, to the judge who handled the foreclosure sale. And they're going to send out notice to the former owner saying, hey, we have your money, come get it. That's excess proceeds. And most people use the
Oh.
excess proceeds to either move on with their life or to try and buy their house back through the redemption process that Mario described.
Can they use those excess funds to help with the redemption process?
Yes, absolutely. In fact, I mean, if you were having trouble paying a $5,000 bill, in my same example, but then you suddenly have those excess proceeds, that's more than likely going to be the only way that you can try to get the money necessary to redeem your house. Now, as Mario mentioned, you have to pay the foreclosure sales price plus 25 or 50%, depending on how long you wait. So it's not it's not as simple as I'll get my excess proceeds and I'll make everybody whole and I'll get my house back. No, there's a premium. That 25% or 50% it's referred to as the redemption premium. So it's not very simple, but it gets you a large portion of the way to being able to buy your house back.
Okay, so there isn't like a certain percentage of what it's actually sold. The bidding starts at what the taxes are owed on it, and then it just goes up from there.
Absolutely. Yes.
Okay, got it. Got it. Okay, another question here. Oh, and I wanted to clarify for some people because I asked this question in every property tax workshop that we have also. I know that there's a lot of these little scam people out there saying that how do you could buy or get tax lien properties and things of that nature. And people assume that when they go to these little seminars that they have at these hotels and things like that, that if you pay somebody's back taxes, that you then become the owners of these properties. Can you explain how that actually works and how that is not actually accurate? Just by paying somebody's back taxes, that doesn't mean that you become the owner of the property.
Right. So I'm somewhat familiar with that process. Most of the time, those sorts of seminars or investor conferences are marketed towards amateur real estate investors, people looking to buy property on the cheap. In the state of Texas, if you pay someone's property taxes, it's considered a gift.
Yes.
Unless the homeowner who owed the taxes signs a contract with you to transfer the lien that secured the payment of those taxes. That's a super lawyerly way of saying, you just paid my taxes. Awesome. Thank you. If that's the end of the conversation and there's no paperwork, then you ain't got nothing. If now Texas is one of the few states in the United States that allows for you to get a property tax loan. And the second situation about transferring the lien in return for money, what does that sound like? That's a loan. That's basically a mortgage. There are private companies that'll do this. They charge a really high interest rate, but if you're desperate, it's a tool. I'm not looking to enrich any potential real estate investors, but don't go out reading the property tax, checking the delinquent property tax records in whatever county you live in and think, oh, I'll find the cheapest amount, pay it, and then I'll own a new house. It's more complicated than that. Same situation as I described before. Read the fine print.
And we're talking about properties that don't have a mortgage on it, because 9 times out of 10, if there's a mortgage, your property taxes are already escrowed and then they're paid by the mortgage company. So that's a different kind of foreclosure process than in that case, if your taxes kind of get too high and then you can no longer afford the monthly payment because your taxes are going up, then the mortgage company can then foreclose in that regards.
Absolutely. So another person in the chat had asked, do property taxing entities, local like school districts or the county, do they ever check to see if your home's insured? And the answer to that is no. But the reason I bring it up is because it applies to this situation. When you get a mortgage, whether it's a home equity loan or the mortgage used to buy your house, or maybe you're over 62 and you've gotten a reverse mortgage, you have a contract between you and that mortgage company. And part of that contract requires you to keep your house insured and your taxes paid. And the reason is your house is worthless if it burns down and you ain't got insurance. So the mortgage company has a financial incentive for you to keep it insured. The school district, the county, the city, I'm not trying to say they don't care, but they don't care. Their financial interest is in the dirt where the taxes are owed. Second thing is, you might recall that I mentioned by law, school districts, government, any branch of government that can charge taxes, they have a super priority lien, which means if they foreclose, they wipe out the mortgage. That's why mortgage companies have a vested financial interest in making sure your taxes get paid. And so
Mhm.
that's why a vast majority of most people who have mortgages, part of your payment goes to pay your loan, but a good chunk of your payment, maybe a third to a half of it, goes to pay your taxes and your insurance, because the mortgage company will collect that money from you throughout the year. And at the end of the year, maybe in December or early January, they'll pay your taxes for you. It's your money. They're just doing it for you to protect their interest, because you have agreed, you as the homeowner or the borrower have agreed to them doing that for you. It's, again, it's all, it's not benevolence. It's the mortgage companies protecting themselves, because that's what financial institutions do. They make
Mhm.
loans, and they want the collateral, your home, for the loan, to be protected so that their loan has something valuable backing it up.
And for the consumers, let me add that I encourage everybody to make sure that if you have a mortgage and you have a loan servicer that is paying your mortgage, they're escrowing your taxes and they're paying your taxes on your behalf every year, double check to make sure that the taxes are being paid. Because it's been plenty of times where accidents have happened, or loan servicing companies switch and somebody thought that somebody else paid or what have you, and then your taxes can go unpaid. And if it's after that March, or I'm sorry, the January 30th, 31st deadline, if it's paid in February, you still owe a late fee, even though you've been escrowing your property taxes every month. If it's paid late, you still owe it regardless. So double check and make sure you follow up and make sure that your taxes are paid. I definitely encourage consumers to do that. There was another question here. Is there a dollar amount that the taxing entities usually start the process of foreclosure of delinquent property tax properties? Does it matter how much they owe before they start the foreclosure process?
I was literally typing my answer, but I'm happy to share it, for the recording. The answer is no. And to illustrate that, I've been doing this for about 11 years, helping homeowners and consumers. And I've seen in my work clients who owe 18 years of property taxes, and that's like the most extreme example I can think of. And the school district or the city or the county has not started the foreclosure process. So that's a long time. I've seen clients where they owe as little as 3 years. They're behind 3 years. And then the school district or city, county, or municipal utility district started the foreclosure process. So it varies depending on the needs of that local government unit. If it's a smaller government unit, maybe in a rural area, and there's and there's less taxpayers, they're going to have more of an incentive to collect as much as they can, as quickly as they can. But if you're in the city of Houston, well, there's 2.4 million people. If one person doesn't pay, I'm not saying the city of Houston's not trying to collect, but they'll be able to cover their bills. It's not like they won't be able to keep the lights on. Whereas if it's, again, if it's a much smaller taxing unit, they're going to have to collect one way or the other in order to be able to provide the services that unit of the government does.
Now, yesterday they talked about it. Each month they talk about deferred property taxes versus exemptions, and seniors take advantage of a lot of deferments a lot of the times. So, which means that they can delay on owing their property taxes without penalty. The penalty amount is capped at the 5%, as opposed to it constantly accruing interest as well as attorney's fees. So in regards to somebody that has had deferred property taxes for 18 years and they pass away, family members are responsible for the 18 years of deferred property taxes. 180 days after that person passes away, all of those taxes then become due. So I know that they talked about different payment options and things in those kinds of situations, but legally, is there anything else that can be done for somebody that grandmother passed away, had no idea that she hasn't paid the taxes in the last 8 years? What's the family to do in that case? They don't have 8 years worth of property taxes to pay in 6 months.
That's a great question. And the goal here, and we encounter this a lot within Lone Star Legal Aid. And the goal here is, as I think you were alluding to, preserve the generational wealth within that family, right? losing a home can just be like a loss of hundreds of thousands of dollars that, you know, one generation was trying to pass to the next. So there's a variety of options, all of which are going to involve getting the taxes paid. So as Mario started the presentation with, there's actually a historic option that exists right now, and that's the Texas Homeowners Assistance Fund. As Mario mentioned, this is an investment in recovering from the financial implications and economic implications of the COVID-19 pandemic made by Congress and the Biden administration in 2021. Texas's program went live a year ago, March 2022, and that program will pay up to $25,000 to get you current on your taxes. But let's say you owe more than $25,000, or the program runs out of funds, and this same situation where you inherit property that owes a ton of money in taxes, how do you save it? So by law, if it's where you live and you owe the money to the school district or the county, they have to offer you an up to 3-year payment plan. So you can pay that off over 3 years. There's a couple of caveats to that, or a couple exceptions. You have to pay what's owed from behind, and then you have to pay every year that comes due during the term of that 3-year plan. So if you were to start the plan today, March 2023, well, next year, 2024's taxes are going to come due. You got to pay them. You got to keep them current. Same thing in 2025 and 2026. If you have the financial wherewithal, the resources, it's an exceptional option. 3 years isn't a long time, but the interest rate is generally lower than what you're going to find. Another option would be, if you've inherited the property, you could get a home equity loan with, a private lender, and that home equity lender is going to pay off your taxes before they give you any money from the equity in your house. And then what you do, just like with a regular mortgage or any other kind of home equity loan, you pay the lender back over time, generally 15 to 30 years with interest. A reverse mortgage is an option for people who are over age 62 to do the exact same thing. You inherited property, it owes taxes, you're over age 62, you can't afford to pay them. You can apply for a reverse mortgage with a private lender. They'll pay the taxes off. And the benefits of a reverse mortgage are that you get a lump sum amount of money out of the house, out of the equity in the house, and you never pay a single payment to the mortgage company for the rest of your life. The downsides are you got to keep the house insured, and you got to keep the taxes paid. And when you pass away, you lose the house. It's gone. The mortgage company keeps the house in a reverse mortgage situation.
Unless it's paid back, unless what they borrowed is paid back.
Right. And that would be the next generation paying it back. You're absolutely right. The last option, and I'm not giving you the waterfall approach, like do this, do this, do this. It's here are a bunch of options. What works best for you will vary based upon your situation. The last option would be seeking out a private property tax loan. So this is different than a home equity loan. It's different than a reverse mortgage. I know they sound the same, but by law in Texas, they're different. There are at least 70 different private property tax lenders in the state of Texas, and they will loan you money to pay your taxes, and they'll generally have you pay them back. I've seen as long as 15 years. I've seen as short as 5 years. The drawback to these is they charge an exceptionally high interest rate. Those of you who might follow mortgages probably hear the term, like, mortgage rates have shot up tremendously in the last year, and they have. They went from 3% to roughly 7% now. Property tax lenders charge on average between 12 and 18%. They can't go higher than 18% by law, but 12 to 18% is just a very, very high percent interest rate. So you have really 4 options. They all involve payment. Paying back the government directly, school district, county, what have you, over 3 years, and keeping your taxes paid during that time. Getting a home equity loan to pay off the taxes in a lump sum. Getting a reverse mortgage to do the same thing, pay off the taxes in a lump sum. Or getting a property tax loan to pay off the taxes in a lump sum.
At least there are options.
In addition to the Texas Homeowners Assistance Fund. Again, it's got about $330 million left. So I don't think that's going to vanish overnight, but we have pretty high taxes. So if you need the help, I highly, highly encourage you to look it up or contact Lone Star Legal Aid for help navigating this process.
There's another question here, but since we're talking about the homeowners assistance fund, I have a quick question. So for somebody that actually owed more than $25,000 worth of taxes, and the assistance fund only pays up to 25,000 for taxes, correct? So if they owe more than the 25,000, but they can't show proof that they, say for instance, they owe 40,000, they can't show proof of where they're going to get the other 40,000. Does that disqualify them for the 25 that they could be eligible for?
Unfortunately, yes. So the Texas Homeowners Assistance Fund will only make a payment on a homeowner's behalf if they, as in the Texas Homeowners Assistance Fund, fully settle the debt. So basically in that same situation, you owe 40 grand in taxes, you're going to have to pay 15,000 to get it below 25 in order to then apply to the Texas Homeowners Assistance Fund to get them to pay the remaining 25.
Yeah, I had that question had come up because of a lady that had called our office about the mortgage that she owed, that they told her that she couldn't qualify because she owed more than what the dollar amount of what they would be giving her. She wouldn't. And I basically was telling her that if you're still running the risk of losing the house because you can't pay the difference, then they've wasted that money that could have gone to somebody else to completely save their home. So in essence, the program wouldn't have worked for her. So that's why she couldn't qualify. But okay. If you have an agreement buying your home directly from a landlord, how can you get on record with the county as the owner?
So that's that is a great question that we've seen more and more often. It used to be once a year that I'd personally see that. Now I've seen it a few times a year. We generally call these like contracts for deeds or land sale contracts. You don't have a traditional mortgage. You bought it from, maybe you were renting the house and then the landlord is like, I don't want to do this anymore. I'll sell it to you, but I'll finance the sale. In those situations, you're going to have some paperwork, or hopefully you have some paperwork that shows that you've agreed to buy the house. My first bit of advice would be contact the lawyer for help getting the paperwork together so that you can prove that you're the owner. And this doesn't necessarily need to involve the person you're buying it from. Your contract might be enough for you to be able to provide proof to the county to be able to get your homestead exemptions or proof to the county for whatever it is you need in regards to tax relief. And a lawyer can really help you with that. Lone Star Legal Aid, in the greater Houston area and all up and down the East Texas spine, we provide free legal services to those who qualify. And anybody who lives in the 10 counties that we're serving right now, that my group is focused on right now, you can earn up to $90,000 and still qualify. So don't just think, oh, I don't qualify without trying. But to go further, if you were to try and do this on your own, I would highly recommend you check out the website texaslawhelp.org. There's a lot of resources to guide people through legal issues on their own. They're created by lawyers, vetted by lawyers. It's regularly fact-checked. And there you're going to want to look for something related to executory contracts, land sale contracts, or the term contract for deed. And then start reading. You're going to need to get educated on your rights as a buyer under one of these types of deals, so that you can then figure out how to get the paperwork together to present it to the county so that you can have proof of your ownership.
And if not, you are technically considered a tenant. If there's nothing on file. I
guarantee you a shady landlord / seller will try to consider you a tenant, even if you have an agreement and a contract that says otherwise.
Okay. And when I send out the link of this recording, the link for all the resources for for Lone Star Legal Aid, for the Homeowners Assistance Fund, for Texas Law Help, all those links will be included in the email that I send out to everyone as well too. There was another question here. Harris County changed the way the property tax bill looks. Can you explain how we will know if the taxes have been paid?
Absolutely. So the easiest way, if you have access to the internet, is to just type in Google or your search engine of choice, Harris County Tax Assessor's website. On the Harris County Tax Assessor's website, on the top left part of the screen, you're actually able to search for your home. You can search by your name. You can search by your tax account number. I don't know mine. Or you can search by your address. Search by that. You're able to look at your property tax account. And this is, I'm describing Harris County. The same process applies for literally all 254 counties in the state of Texas. Search, search for your property tax account with your county tax assessor and collector. That's the name of the person who handles the bills. And they regularly update their records to show when payments have been applied. For example, earlier this month, we had a client who owed about $6,000 in taxes. The Texas Homeowners Assistance Fund paid those taxes. We got word of it last week. Last Friday, logged on to the Harris County Tax Assessor's website, and lo and behold, the website shows the bill is zero. So that's the easiest way to be able to search for it. Again, doing it yourself online. Another way would be to contact the tax assessor's office. They'll mail you a bill, or I guess a statement that will show either what you owe or what has been paid and that you owe nothing. But contacting the tax assessor, whether through the internet, doing it yourself on their website, or contacting them either in person or over the phone, will be able to get you the information you're looking for.
If you're not sure about the other taxing jurisdictions, or even if it's an inherited property that you've gotten from somebody and you want to know if they owe property taxes, how do you, do you have to just research which county it's in and then contact that particular county, and then will they give you the breakdown if there's a mud tax, if there's the school tax, will they give you all of that information?
Great question. And here's where it gets a little complicated, but I promise I'll get you there. Just follow me. The easiest thing for you to do to figure out, for my piece of dirt where my house is, who do I pay taxes to? Because sometimes you might get 3 tax bills, maybe sometimes 4 tax bills, is to go to your county appraisal district's website. That's different than the tax assessor's website, but I'm going to use Harris County for an example. Go to the Harris County Appraisal District's website. Again, you can search by your name or address and find the account website page for your property. In the middle of that page, it'll list all the different pieces of the local government that you pay taxes to. City of Houston, Harris County, HISD, the Port Authority, Houston Community College. All of these are broken out and generally linked on the Harris County website on each of the names. So like the City of Houston, you can click on it and it will take you to the website for the branch of government that acts as their tax collector. That's in Harris County. That's the Harris County Tax Assessor Collector. But let's say you live in an unincorporated part of the county. So you live in Harris County, but you don't live within the city limits of the City of Houston or like Pasadena or Baytown or whatever. Go back to HCAD and you might see that you have a municipal utility district, a MUD, that you owe taxes to. Follow the same process. Click on the MUD's name, and it probably will more than likely will take you to a private property tax collection company that collects just for that MUD. I know personally where I live, I pay taxes to a MUD, I pay taxes to Katy ISD, and I pay taxes to Fort Bend County. I get 3 tax bills, and I find that by going to the Fort Bend County website, Fort Bend County Appraisal District website, and following the process. So you're trying to figure out who you owe taxes to, start at the County Appraisal District's website, look at all the entities, the pieces of government that you pay taxes to, and if they're linked like they are with Harris County, click on them. If they're not linked, just copy and paste into Google and type, whatever, like Fort Bend ISD tax office. You'll find their website and you'll be able to pull up if you have more than 1 tax bill or just 1.
Okay. Someone says, I received a bill from Harris County Tax Assessor saying that my property was being foreclosed. I immediately called and they told me it was a glitch in the system and to ignore it. What do I do? Just ignore it, or just
well, if you look at the replies or the chats that I put at the beginning of this call, and I'll say this for those of y'all who are watching on the recording who can't see this, my advice would be Assume nothing when you're worried about a bill that is tied to your home. I would do a little more research. If you received a bill from someone within Harris County saying you owe taxes, go check and verify whether or not you actually do owe money by checking the Harris County Tax Assessor Collector's website, or look at the bill and see if it mentions another company or another branch of government that you owe taxes to. You might live on the southwest side of Harris County and you owe taxes to A-Leaf ISD, or you might live in central Houston and you got one bill where you owe taxes, you're billed for HISD, City of Houston, Harris County, and what have you. You're going to want to do a little bit of research. What I'm telling you will take you no more than 20 minutes on the internet, and you don't have to be sophisticated. Just Google search whatever county you live in, tax office. You'll be able to search by your address. That's the most reliable way to do it. And then see what the dollar amount is. If it's zero, then you know it truly was a glitch. If you're still concerned after doing the research yourself, I'd encourage you to reach out to Lone Star Legal Aid. If you live in Central Texas or North Texas, there are legal aids that serve those regions of the state. All 254 counties are covered by a legal aid. There's Texas Rio Grande Legal Aid that is based in San Antonio, and they serve Austin, San Antonio, all the way down to the Valley and out to El Paso. There's Legal Aid of Northwest Texas, which is based in Fort Worth. They serve Dallas, Fort Worth, the Panhandle, and parts of Central Texas. Lone Star Legal Aid is based in Houston, and we serve East Texas and the greater Houston area. One way or the other, there's free legal services available if you qualify. If not, I've talked about the ways that you can verify the information on your own. I wouldn't just let things lie without laying eyes on a zero on a tax bill.
I personally make sure I print the receipt. I want to see the receipt that says zero, balance is zero, because I don't want later on, a year, 2 years from now, whatever. Oh yeah, you remember that bill from way back when or whatever it was paid? Like, nah. My records show the receipt you sent me shows the zero balance. And I also caution people to be very careful. Again, Amir mentioned scams. There are different kinds of scams that are out there. When the tax bills come out, so do the scammers, because you're going to get these notices from people that look like it could be from Harris County, Fort Bend County, or your school or whatever, and it's not even affiliated with who it is that you're supposed to be paying at all. So please be careful. Do your own research and go to those particular websites. Don't call the numbers that are listed on the statement that you get if you're not sure, because that person that you're calling is the person that sent you the scam letter to begin with. So make sure that you actually go to the website and get the taxing entity's information from there and make the phone call and do the investigation if you're not sure about that paper that came in the mail. So please beware about that. I believe those were all of the other questions that were in here. There's so many thank yous that are in here for the information that you guys have presented here today. I am so, Ms. Grace, you are so very welcome. She says thank you, Nia, Mario, Myra, and Amir. Thank y'all so much. And I am so glad that you came up with the idea to break these foreclosures down into these different segments about, reverse mortgage foreclosures or regular foreclosure versus property tax foreclosures. And next month, for those folks that are listening, we're going to get into the HOA foreclosures, and that's going to be on April 27th, Thursday, April the 27th. We're going to be talking about the HOA foreclosures. So make sure you guys come back for that information as well. And again, the presentation that we had on the property tax, the protest and valuation and payment options workshop that was done yesterday, I will be sending that link out to everyone, along with the Texas Law Help, the Texas Homeowners Assistance Fund, Lone Star Legal Aid, with all of their information and links to their sites for you guys to have reference to, or to go back and view, or to share with other people that you know of that may find this information to be beneficial as well. So thank you guys very much for attending, for participating today. Thank you for your questions. it's always great to have this feedback and this engagement and this dialogue, because a lot more people kind of, you know, can receive the information better, you know, when they're actually just sitting and talking and having the conversation, as opposed to just kind of listening. And this is, you know, when they hear those different scenarios, it's like, oh, okay, yeah, now I get it. Oh, yeah, I didn't think about that part, and it makes sense that way. So, again, please share this information with you guys. When are you to do a reverse mortgage? Again, we're probably going to try to do again in the fall. However, the foreclosure for reverse mortgage will be
May.
It
Yeah.
will be May. And the foreclosure presentations are always on the fourth Thursday of each month. So if you're interested, Regina, and you want to see that presentation that we had from before, I will be happy to go ahead and send you out the link of that recording as well. But that won't be again until May. So so let me know. Amir, Mario, thank you guys so very much. We really appreciate you guys taking the time out this afternoon. And again, the partnership with Lone Star Legal Aid is tremendously awesome. Thank y'all so much. Again, to reiterate what Amir says, don't automatically assume that you won't qualify for service. You'd be surprised as how many people automatically discount themselves and just think, oh, that's got to be, you know, for really low income people or something like that. Then and they don't qualify, and they just, you know, just don't call and don't ask. Please call, please ask. If you don't ask, you won't receive the assistance that you guys need. So please make sure that you inquire about that. So yes, I will include the foreclosure for the reverse mortgage presentation that you guys did as well. So thank y'all very much. Really appreciate, again, your attendance. For our participants that continue to come back and support us every single month, we definitely appreciate that. Myra, would you like to include anything else? I see you put the notifications about the upcoming events that you guys have that are coming up April 1st in the chat. You want to tell people about that?
Yes, let me put on my 10 eyes. That, sorry about that, everyone.
I believe it was April the 1st.
It's on April 1st. If one of the things that everyone is always concerned about, I own property, I got inherited property, the building is collapsing, I don't want to rent it out, I don't want to live in it. What options do I have? Well, the City of Houston Department of Neighborhoods, along with the Black Realtors Association of Houston and Harris County, have come together to give you some options. Instead of selling your property, remember that land ownership is the most important aspect of keeping your heirship or protecting your generational wealth. So what we're doing is conducting, it's called Coffee and Conversation, and we're going to educate you on different processes of, instead of selling your property or renting it out, leasing it out to different organizations or leasing out to solar farms. There's different options you can do with your mom and dad's or grandparents' land instead of selling it or just renting it out. And that's what we want to give you, as many options as you can, because we want you to make sure to protect your generational wealth, because land, a lot of people think it's the building that gives you all the generational wealth, but it's actually the land that goes with that building. And that's what it is. It's on April 1st. Nia, hold on, let me find the flyer so I can tell you where to send. It's one of those days, so I apologize.
It's going to be at the Collective, the formerly known as the Power Center, located at 12401 South Post Oak Road here in Houston, Texas.
And they'll be on April 1st from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
And you will go, I'll put it on the chat. And Nia, could you share the link with everyone?
I sure can.
And so if you have any questions, please call me at 832-394-0701. Or you can call the Collective at 723-6823. And it's if you or your family's trying to figure out what to do with your family property. Do you know about alternatives to keep the family property? And that is what it's all about, is making sure that you understand there's different options instead of selling your property or renting it.
And unfortunately, that presentation will not be virtual. It's in person only.
Right. But the next coffee and conversations, they will be in person and virtual. Thank you to NRCDC, one of our partners. Our first coffee and conversation will be on April 25th out in Sunnyside, our newly built Sunnyside multi-service center. So we hope to see you all on April 25th from 10 a.m. to 12, either virtually or in person, or we'll see you on April 1st at the Collective at from April 1st from 10 to 12 p.m. And we will be there with coffee and donuts.
All right. With that being said, again, thank you guys very much. You all have a wonderful remainder of your afternoon. We only have 8 minutes left, so you know, I was concerned, oh, we're going to be done way too fast, but I'm glad we did not. So again, thank y'all very much. Appreciate it. Mario, very good job. So relax. You did better than what you thought you were going to do. So good deal.
And Lone
Appreciate
Star, thank you, Lone Star and Legal Aid. Thank you, Amir. You guys are always there assisting us throughout the process. Great partners. Again, thank you.
All right. You all have a wonderful afternoon and take care of yourselves, and we will see you all next month.